Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second webinar of the WaterPip webinar series 2021. Today, we are having a really interesting webinar. We will hear update from the WaPOR Hackathon winning team. We will also hear from our presenters on how WaPOR data can be used for sustainable ecosystem management and crop diversification. For those who are new to WaterPip project, WaterPip stands for Water Productivity Improvement in Practice. And I will uh, next, Lauren, please. Um, as I said, WaterPip stands for Water Productivity Improvement in Practice, and the main purpose of the project is to build a capacity around water productivity and WaPOR. Um, WaPOR is it is an open source remote sensing database put together by FAO and its partners to monitor agricultural water productivity through remote sensing based information. It gives users access to near real time satellite data such as crop type maps, biomass production, and evapotranspiration. Various governments and research institutes are using already WaPOR data for for designing their water productivity improvement strategies in a more sustainable way. Also, WaPOR data is being used on field level. Some of the applications are developed that are using WaPOR data and that are providing important and crucial information to the farmers on their crop condition and water usage. If you not visited the WaPOR database, I would really recommend to visit the database and explore the data components available there. Currently, we are having only data for Africa and Near East, but in future it will be expanded globally. Um, we are doing this capacity building through different activities, and the first one is a concept and application of different types of water productivity. The concept of water productivity, as you know, it's really complex, and users' interests like water, yield, land, revenue, and employment changes across space and time. So therefore, the definition of the water productivity is also changing and not specific. Um, the second activity is we are raising awareness among people to improve water productivity, which is really important for sustainable development. And uh, WaPOR, we are uh, raising awareness and we are supporting people to use WaPOR data for field level applications, such as crop growth across different phenological stages and water use and assessing crop stress in each stage. Also, we are analyzing and interpreting water productivity across space to identify water productivity gaps, and finally, by providing recommendations to fill those gaps. We are doing this through a series of master classes and webinar series, just like we are doing now. Also, videos are available on WaterPip YouTube channel. And next year in 2022, we are planning to have a MOOC, a Master Online Open course. If you wanna get update and know more about the WaterPip project, please visit our website waterpip.un-ihe.org. And also we have our WaterPip YouTube channel and YouTube account, and you can follow regular updates from them from that. Yeah, Lauren, next please. As I said, this is our second webinar and our first webinar. It was really interesting webinar, and it was about the policy analysis framework and its application. And if you have missed that webinar, I would really recommend to visit our YouTube channel. Recording of that webinar is available, and please watch it. Today's webinar is to hear update from the hackathon team, as well as we have two other presentations on the WaPOR data used for sustainable ecosystem management and crop diversification. Next week we have a important webinar that is application of the WaPOR in agriculture. And then on October 27, we are having a session on Cairo Water Week 2021. We recommend to register there as well. Uh, yes, the agenda for the today's webinar is Lauren will have a review of the WaPOR Hackathon. Natalia is going to update us on the water accounting plus plugin. And Somaya is having a presentation on using WaPOR data for sustainable ecosystem management. Risha and Maisha will tell us more about the crop diversification to drop diversification, which sounds really interesting. And finally, we have Q&A session. Next, please. Yes, I will introduce briefly the rules of the webinar. Please engage with the presenters and participants through the chat box. Also, we would like you to introduce yourself just by writing your name, country, and scientific interest or your organization. Also, you are encouraged to ask questions during the presentation, and then at the end of the presentation, we will our presenters will answer your questions. The recording of the webinar and additional resources are available on the YouTube channel of the WaterPip as well as the WaterPip website. And finally, have fun. Hopefully, you will enjoy this presentation and this webinar. Lauren, I will give floor to you.
Great, thanks, Safi. I appreciate the introduction. And like Safi said, this is a very informal webinar. I think we're all excited to see what the teams have been doing the past year. If you can believe it, it's almost been a year since we finished the hackathon last year. And so if you have questions, if you have comments or feedback for any of the teams, I know they would really appreciate it. So feel free to put that in the chat box and we'll be able to share that with the teams through this webinar and afterwards. So let me just bring up my presentation quickly.
Yeah.
Here we go. Okay. So I'm just going to go through really quickly what was the WaPOR Hackathon. I think many of you either participated or were aware of the hackathon that we did, but maybe some of you are new, so I'll just do a quick 5-minute review. So first, let's ask, why did we do a hackathon? I think that's a nice question. If we look at the objectives of our WaterPip project, our goals are to improve water productivity in the agricultural sector using WaPOR. So it's this open access remote sensing data on water productivity And we want to use this WaPOR data to create more benefits and services, particularly around water use in agriculture. But some people maybe are not so comfortable using a data portal or remote sensing. There are more people that just would like a different kind of product using this information. And so we wanted to have this hackathon to create some, let's say, creativity around WaPOR data and how we can bring this data to the users. So inside of our hackathon, we had a different, smaller objective. We wanted the teams to be able to use the WaPOR data to develop a solution, typically a tech solution, so a mobile app, a web map, a QGIS plugin, something sort of technical that helps to address one of the problems in our theme areas. So our 4 theme areas were big data for water management, communications to smallholder farmers, remote sensing for environmental issues, and monitoring the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. And so each team had to think of a problem and a solution using WaPOR that could help within one of these themes. So the event itself was held last year between November 17th and December 8th. And it was completely online. I think, we were kind of in the midst of COVID and learning how to do new things online. So this hackathon was one of those. But we think it was a great success. We had over 250 people registered from 55 different countries. So I think that is a real statement to how useful this data is and how useful it can be using different kinds of solutions. And so teams could kind of register in 2 different ways. They could register as a pre-formed team, or they could sign up as an individual, and we would create teams from people all over the world. So in the end, we had about 15 teams that created a short video pitch. So this was about a 1-minute video pitch, and they presented their initial ideas to an expert panel. This panel judged them on a variety of criteria, and then the winners, typically one from each theme, they were able to move on to the next step and get some support and some advice, and they created a more detailed proposal of their solution. And for this, they created a 5-minute video to show what they wanted their product to do. So in the end, we couldn't choose just one winner. We had many great teams, but we had two teams that made it to the top. So these are the 2 teams that are with us today. So first, we have the WAPlugin team. This was one of these teams of individuals where people from all over the world came together. They didn't know each other. They learned how to work together, and they created a great product. So we have Natalia with us today, and she'll share more about that. And our second winning team was a team that came together. They were a student team from the Research Institute of Water Engineering and Management in Iran. And they wanted to create a tool that helped, let's say, calculate or analyze sustainable ecosystem management around Lake Ormia. So hopefully we'll have Sima with us later, and she'll share some experiences on that. But we also had many other great finalists, and we wanted to include some of them here today. So we also have Rasha and Maisha, who were one of these finalists, and they'll also share the work that they've continued to do on their project as well. If you are interested to learn more about the hackathon, watch some of the live sessions or the winning pitches, you can go to our website at waterpip.un-ihe.org. So that's it for me. And with that, I would like to welcome Natalia to the screen, and she'll be able to talk more about her project, the WaPlugin for QGIS.
Thanks, Lara, for the introduction. Yeah, I am a member of the winning teams of the WaPOR Hackathon. I'm Natalia Cárdenas. I'm an agricultural engineer. I have a master in water science and engineering at IHE Delft Institute for Water Education. And yeah, me and of course my team members, we are all happy to show the progress of our project that is called the WAPlugin. That is a water accounting and productivity QGIS plugin. So first, let's just start. Let's talk about a bit of the team. So the WAPlugin team, we are an international team from several countries around the world. as Lauren mentioned, we didn't know each other before, so we just formed the team during the hackathon. At the beginning, we were six during the competition, but now we are four working on the project. We are from Colombia, Tunisia, and India. As I mentioned before, the WAPlugin team was formed during the WaPOR Hackathon that was hosted by the FAO, the ISG Delft Institute for Water Education, the Wageningen University, and in general, the WaPOR project that involves different institutions and companies, as Safi was showing. The team members, we are water professionals and computer science engineer. We all have different backgrounds and knowledge that we bring together to just develop this kind of tools, that in this case is the WAPlugin. So what is the WAPlugin? What is the idea behind of it? So it's a water accounting and productivity plugin based on WaPOR data for QGIS platform that, as I mentioned before, is called the WAPlugin. This is a tool that brings together the WaPOR portal and the QGIS software, allowing the quick access to WaPOR data directly from QGIS. Besides, it allows the computation of water accounting indicators. So let's continue with the concept development of the plugin. So the plugin brings the data from WaPOR portal to QGIS. It allows the data to be used for further processing. As it was explained before, the WaPOR portal is a platform that provides really useful data that can be used for agricultural and water management purposes. And the purpose of the WaPOR Hackathon is to create an application that can make the use of this data in an easier way. So a regular WaPOR user, what it I don't know what the user does for putting or using the data in a GIS software. They have first to go to WaPOR portal, then sign in, then select, search for the data set that they need, the resolution, the time, the location. Then they download the data to the local PC, and then from the local PC they put the data. They go to the GIS software, they put the data there, and they have to apply some corrections because when you download the data from the WaPOR portal, you don't have it in the right units, so you have to apply some correction to have it in the right units. So what the plugin does is that connects directly the WaPOR portal to QGIS, so it saves some time. So it's in an easier and a faster way the use of the WaPOR portal for a GIS software. And the connection is established with the WaPOR Application Programming Interface Service, WaPOR. Moreover, also the plugin allows or provides in its interface the feature for calculating water accounting indicators based on WaPOR datasets. The water accounting is a really useful analysis to see how is the water management going or doing. So the indicators is a really nice way for us for assess these kind of things. And the educators will support users by generating outputs, maps, and values for further assessment and evaluation. So let's continue with the application development of the plugin. So this is the workflow of how the plugin works. It has two main features, as I mentioned before, the WaPOR catalog, that is the one that brings the data from WaPOR to QGIS, and the indicators calculator. The indicators computation is done entirely by the plugin, and in some cases it will require extra information from the user. So the main input data is the one provided by WaPOR, but also some of the indicators require some user inputs, so the plugin allows that. The results will be shown as a raster or value in some cases, depending on the indicator, that can be added automatically as a raster layer in the QGIS canvas. So today, I'm really happy and really glad to present the WaPlugin version 1 that was recently released just few days back. Because it is recently released, it is not in the QGIS plugin list yet. Of course, we are issuing, and these steps take some time. So, but the idea is to have it in the QGIS plugin list. For version 1.0, for now, it includes 4 indicators: equity, beneficial fraction, adequacy, and relative water deficit. These are 4 performance indicators of the water accounting analysis that can give an idea how the water management in an irrigation scheme is just doing, is going. So the idea for now, we have just this one, but the idea is to keep putting more indicators that can help in the assessment of an irrigation scheme or a basin scheme, or a basin in a basin scale. Sorry. We did the assessment using with or and without the plugin, and we found out that the users will save 2 times the actual time for using WaPOR data and calculating water accounting indicators in QGIS. So it makes this kind of use of this platform and calculation more easier and faster. So that's one of the main strengths of this plugin. And the version 1 should be tested by the users because it was recently released just a few days back. So we need to see how it is performing. So we encourage you, like all the WaPOR users, to use it and give us feedback. So let's see how version 1.0 is operating. So I'm going to show a video and I will explain it. So first, after installing the plugin, the first thing that you have to do is to sign in. So then you create an account. Let me pause it here. So even without using the plugin, for accessing to the WaPOR data, you need an account. So you create your password and your username, and it will be used as well, the same account in the plugin. So after creating that, you scroll down and you go to API token and you just copy, and then that will be the key that we need to use for the plugin, and you just pasted it in it. It has a really good, nice thing that you can save the tokens for future uses of the plugin. You don't have to keep copying and pasting. You just save it and that's it. So after doing that, you just sign in. So let's go to the first feature of the plugin. Also, for the users, we encourage them to use a background layer, for example, OpenStreetMap or Google Satellite, just to know properly where is the study area that we want to analyze or assess. So here is selecting OpenStreetMap, and it's going to Ethiopia. So then after knowing where you want to do the analysis, you select the data set that you want. So you have the list of all the data sets that a WaPOR portal has. In this case, we are going to select the actual evapotranspiration interception annual data set. So a nice thing that the plugin does is that it starts adjusting by itself depending on the dataset that you are selecting. For example, in the time interval, it indicates year because you select an annual data set. And in the time frame, is just showing the years that the WaPOR portal has regarding that data set that you select. So in this case, you just select the one that you want. It was selected the 2009. Also, a nice feature that it has that it provides to the user is that it gives the ending of the name. So in that way, you will know properly which data set you are downloading. So here, the L2 indicates a level 2, and the AETI means actual evapotranspiration and interception dataset, and the A indicates annual. And also it allows the user to put the first part of the name in the way that they want. It will, it will be wise to put here the area and the year, so Ethiopia and 2009 in the way. Here you indicate the study area, so you create a polygon of the study area that you want. So you are just going to download the data from that specific polygon that you are selecting, and then you click on download, and it will take some time for downloading and bring the data from WaPOR to QGIS. When it brings the data, it will appear in available rasters, and you have to click on load in Canvas, and it will appear. So now trying with another year, you select the other year, you change the name, and then you click on download. It will download to the plugin, and then it will appear in available rosters list. So let's see how here. Now we have two rosters, the previous one and now the new one, and then you put load in Canvas, and that's it. And now selecting another data set for another year, you just change the things. Let's just select it for another polygon or another part of the study area, and then you just download it, and it will show the data in that way. So it is adjusting depending on the necessities of the user. So this is the first feature, and you can keep doing it for different locations, different data sets and years, and that's it. And it is showing all in the list of the available rosters of the plugin. So now the next feature is the indicators calculator. So as I mentioned before, we have 4: equity, beneficial fraction, adequacy, and relative water deficit. So for calculating the indicators, first, what the user has to do is go to the WaPOR catalog feature, download the required data for calculating the indicator that you want. Then you download the data. It will be in the plugin, and then you go to the indicator that you need, that you want to calculate, and then you do it. So in this case, it was selected the equity. Here we have also a description of how the plugin is calculating that indicator, and which data sets the plugin is using for calculating that. Also, a really nice thing that the plugin has is that on WaPOR data, in this part, are the inputs. So depending on the indicator that you want to calculate, it adjusted. So it keeps adjusting. So in this case, for calculating equity, we just need actual evapotranspiration and interception raster or map. So it will allow just the user to select an actual evapotranspiration and interception map. It doesn't allow another one. So in that way, the user don't make mistakes in the moment of calculating the indicator. So here, because we download 2 data sets of actual evapotranspiration, we are it is showing 2 rasters, so you can select or pick one of them, and then you just select it, and then you just click on calculate indicator, and it will show in the calculator in the canvas of the QGIS. Now for calculating another one, you see that the inputs, the WaPOR inputs change. Now for calculating beneficial fraction, we need actual evapotranspiration raster and also a transpiration raster. So it's changing depending the indicators. Here, for example, we have adequacy. That is an example on which we just not need just WaPOR data. We also need a user data input. So we have the rasters that we need from WaPOR, but also the KC, that in this case is coefficient of the crop. So the user put the coefficient of the crop, and also it selects the rasters that they need for calculating this, and then it just write the name that they want to save this indicator, and then just click in calculate indicator, and it will do it by itself. So that's the way that the version 1 is operating. Let's just continue. The installation, validation, and improvements. So for the installation, it can be done cloning the WAPlugin GitHub repository for now, because the idea is to include it in the QGIS list. But for now it's in this way. In few days it will be available in the QGIS plugin list. For validation, testers will be recruited from social media to obtain feedback for each version release. So of course, the experience of the users are really important for us to keep improving. So as I said before, we encourage you to do it, to help us to know how we can improve and keep improving the plugin. For improvements, the GitHub platform gives access to open source community. So if some of the users have new ideas of how the plugin can be, I don't know, improve or add some new features, so they can do it in GitHub. That's a really nice thing for doing. And improvements and management will be done periodically by the WAPlugin team to ensure the proper functioning of the plugin. So yeah, thank you for your attention. This is how the progress of the WAPlugin project is, the updates. And if you want to know more updates or yeah, just follow us in the social media. And if you have any questions, just please let me know. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Natalia. I think it was really nice to see the progress from last year. It's really incredible how far you've come. I mean, last year you had an idea, you had a proposal, and now you have a plugin, and it's there, and people can use it. So I think you should be very proud of yourself and your team for how far you've come.
Sure. Sure, we are. It's a hard work, but yeah, sure, we are.
There's one quick question on the chat.
Sure.
Simon was curious. You talked about a login for the plugin. Is that the same login for the FAO portal, or is this a different thing?
It's the same one. So you can use the same one for accessing to WaPOR, that for accessing to the plugin. So you just go to your user or your account, and then you, as I show, you scroll down and you just copy the token. That is the key that we need in the plugin. Then you just go to the plugin and then just paste it, and that's it. So it's the same one.
Perfect. And I see some comments in the chat, and people are curious how to learn more about WaPOR, the database itself. I would recommend to go to the website, the FAO website, wapor.apps.fao.org. They have a lot of information there. We also have some recordings of our master classes from last year, which also goes through some of the functionalities and capabilities of the WaPOR platform. So we think it's a great tool, and we hope you do too. So I'm glad that people are interested in this. Great. Thanks, Natalia. So I think next I will introduce our second presenter. Her name is Somaya Sima, and she is from the team from Iran, the RIWEM team. And she'll be sharing with us the work that her and her team have been doing on work around WaPOR around Lake Urmia in Iran. So let's welcome Somaya. I see you are muted at the moment. Somaya, whoops. Now she's gone. But I know this was one of our teams where they came together as a team. They registered as a team for the hackathon, and they were able to work together through, I think, one of their university courses to develop this app. But the judges of the hackathon were very impressed at the work that they did, and we're excited to see what has happened since last year. Oops. Seems like we may be having some technical issues. Somaya, is it okay if I unmute you? Or can you unmute yourself? I'm going to add your presentation.
Okay. Can you hear me, Lauren?
Yes,
Sorry.
we can hear you, and now I can see your presentation. So you're welcome
screen?
to begin.
Oh, sorry. Lauren, can you hear me? Do you have
I can hear you, and I can see your presentation, or I can see your screen.
my voice? Sorry, I have a little connection problem. I have difficulty hearing you.
Okay,
Okay,
I can hear you
see
okay.
my screen and hear my voice. Great. Start. Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm gonna present a short lecture on our progress on for STEM idea. I'm Somay Sima from River Team Iran at Tarbiyat Mudarris University. I'm gonna give you an overview for STEM idea, which is using WaPOR data for sustainable ecosystem management. As challenges in every region, particularly in MENA. Uh, this is desiccation wetlands because of inappropriate allocation of the water right, inefficient and water intensive agriculture. And most of the time, we are observing we lose water allocation trade offs between agriculture and environment in most cases. We are looking in WaPOR for some data is to actually create a balance agricultural production and ecosystem conservation without sacrificing each of them for the other. So in Iran, we have three organizations that are in charge of water allocation decisions, including Department of Environment, Aquatic Ecosystem and Their Services, Ministry of Energy, Ministry of Energy, which is in charge of supplying many sectors, including agriculture, environment, and domestic users, and also Ministry of Jahad Agriculture, which is in charge of food security and increasing agriculture share from country's GDP. What we are looking for through WaPo for some project is to create a coordination between these three organizations and help them to make more sustainable water allocation decision. Here is a general overview of WaPo for some. We're gonna acquire several data layer from WaPor geoportal and combine them with national databases, and at the end map the history of the wetland, which can be water level or inflowing water to the wetland, and
So it seems we have some connectivity issues with Samaya. So maybe we'll see if she comes back in a couple minutes. But I did want to share, if you are new to the hackathon and you wanted to watch the final pitches of these teams, you can go to our hackathon, our WaterPip website, and go to the hackathon page, and we've posted those 5-minute videos there. So I think that's also a nice way to connect with these apps and these solutions, and you can see where they started from a year ago and where they are now. So I actually think we lost Somaya, which is too bad. Hopefully she'll come back. But I think in the meantime, I will introduce our next speakers. So with us, we have Maisha Ahmad and we have Rasha Hassan. They're part of one of the finalist teams that we're creating an app around drop diversification, which I think is a nice catchy name. So they'll share their work with us, and I'll just put their presentation on the screen now and let them take the floor. So here we go. Maisha, Rasha, floor is yours.
I'll go first. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Maisha Ahmed. First of all, thank you for inviting us to share our ideas and the updates on our idea, which we presented on WaPOR Hackathon 2020. So yeah, I'm Maisha Ahmed. I completed my master's in hydroinformatics and water management last year. I did this Erasmus Mundus program. This was an Erasmus Mundus, and I did my last semester in the Netherlands and stayed back working in one of the consultancies in the Netherlands. So I'll be presenting on behalf of my team, Team 30. As you can see, we were 5 members from all over the world, starting from the Netherlands, Syria, India, and Bangladesh. So without further ado, drop diversification, community inclusive, climate smart agriculture. At the very onset, I would like to stress on the words community inclusive and smart agriculture. These were our principal focus when we first brainstormed about how to efficiently implement the invaluable database of WaPOR. We had a very multicultural group, as you can see. Therefore, the water problems were seen from very different perspectives. But one issue was very common, which was the challenge of utilizing the technology and tools, bringing the data to the users, as Lauren mentioned at the beginning. So keeping that as our core aim, we conceptualized a participatory process to enhance climate smart agriculture. The next slide, please, Lauren. So the participation loop, the communication loop also, as we would say. So we saw 2 main components in our idea. One was the local indigenous knowledge. The other was the WaPOR database. So we started conceptualizing around the locals first. The loop would start from the locals, initiating the farmers' consultations through water user association formation to bring their knowledge about crop patterns, local crop patterns and food systems, their idea of diversifying the crops, their water needs, and their behavioral challenges towards water availability and climatic changes on the table. The information flow would then be backed by the scientific expertise and the WaPOR database. Now here, the use of the database comes in, and we do what we mean by the using the database here is the functionalities like the historical data, the net primary production, seasonal evapotranspiration, total seasonal biomasses, so on and so forth. This will delineate a scheme for distributing the limited water resource through a modified cropping plan. That's where the drop diversification for the crop diversification comes in. So the reinforcing tools that we plan to use in order to maintain this flow of information within the loop are community-based apps that initially we thought of a mobile app here, serious gaming for the farmers consultation and knowledge sharing, exploratory adaptation pathways. Now, I would emphasize on the 2-way communication here because that was the main goal, because we wanted the efficient solution here using the database that can be formed in accordance with the demands on ground from the farmers, the demands that are coming from the farmers, and then utilizing the data likewise. So this information we would, or the participatory loop, we would iterate through the loop in order to bridge the gap between the local communities, the experts, and the scientific data until the ultimate aim to design smart regional cropping plan is reached. Now, this plan would be less susceptible to shock from water crisis and market fluctuation, or that's what we aimed for. Initially, our pilot location that we designed or thought about for this idea was the Al Ghouta. That's a place near Damascus in Syria. And yeah, to highlight the main factors of our idea, our target was to include the local expertise and the local communities. Our focus was definitely on the communication over the technology. And our aim was a smart cropping plan, regional cropping plan using the WaPOR database. I would now like to give the floor to my colleague and teammate, Rasha, who's going to shed some light on the challenges and our next step. Thank you.
Thank you, Maisha. Next slide, please. Okay. Uh, Moving on to the challenges which we encountered since the hackathon, we chose to assemble them into 3 pillars, 3 points, the focus, outreach, and support. Our team sees the grand potentials of WaPOR, and we see it beyond being a technical oriented tool. We see it as a practical tool where its data could be significant in strengthening policy making, social integration, and in communication with end users, including farmers. We try to reach out to organizations and potential partners, including FAO, but we haven't get any reply from them. We do aim for more support in different forms as well. I think what Lauren and Safi mentioned earlier is key to achieve this further support. Next slide, please. So based on what are our next steps, based on the suggestions during the hackathon, we redesigned the original scope in which we had Syria as a pilot area, but we kept our interest in the Eastern Mediterranean region as it suffers from water scarcity and it is prone to prolonged droughts. We expanded our scope to perform drought risk assessment and analyze the climate interlinkages with key resources and sectors using climate water food nexus. To carry out all these ideas, we are going to use serious games. Additionally, we are in an ongoing effective communication with Emi Mina, whom we consider as a main partner. Finally, we are effectively looking for new partners, budgets, and financial support so we can perform our concept and replicate it in other places. So if you are interested, please contact us. And thank you, WaPOR team, for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Maisha and Rasha. It's nice to see the progress that you've made, especially going back to the drawing board and reassessing and redesigning some of the work that you did based on feedback. And I like this new partnership with Imi Mena. I think that seems like very promising. I also very much enjoy serious gaming, so I think this is a nice approach, a very nice participatory way to get people engaged and start thinking about these quite complex issues around water use and food and community practices and things. So I think you've made nice progress so far, and very excited to see where we go next. I know at IHE we'd be happy to help support, so we'll take a look around and see how we can share our experience from these the Nexus approach and serious gaming and things like that. So with that, I think we have a couple minutes for a Q&A session. So I would like to bring Natalia back on the screen as well as Safi, and then we can get some questions from the audience. So if you have any questions, please put it in the chat box and we can share them with the team. I know I have a few questions that I can start with. For Natalia, let's say, we'll start with you. You built a QGIS plugin. Is this something that you had done before, or was this a new skill you had to learn? What was that process like?
Yeah, it was completely new for all of us. We have a really good programming team members that didn't know anything about even QGIS. So it was an entire thing. I have to introduce them to the platform, and they are really smart, really good ones. So they learned to do it, and it was all new, but we made it.
Nice. So it just shows that with a little dedication and some hard work, you can learn new skills and you can be developing new tools and solutions for some of our modern problems.
Yeah, sure. It is in that way. Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
nice.
that's great. I also have a question. So, Natalia, it was really nice work, and as you are in the winning team, so I would ask a question: that what makes a winning team? What kind of expertise did you need? Like programming skills or a technical skill in water or agriculture? What made you a winning team?
Okay. Yeah. I think that at the beginning, like before, like we didn't know each other, so at the beginning was quite like hard, and also always we have been working virtually. But I think that what makes us a winning team is that we have different kind of skills and backgrounds, that and we try to complement each other, and it worked in a really nice way. So I know that the programming guys cannot do it without me and my other colleague that is a water expert, but also we cannot move without them. So we really complement each other, and we work together for developing these indicators. So maybe I was telling them, hey, I want this, I want the user experience this in this way. So we were working together. So I think that having different experience and know how to work in a multidisciplinary environment, I think that was it made us a winning team, and that all our team members, like we really like work well together. So also I don't know, teamwork is important for
Yeah,
being in a
great. Yeah,
winning team. Yeah.
yeah.
And we actually have a question from the chat box
Sure.
for Maisha and Russia. Simon was curious, how are your ideas thought about in Syria? Is something that this community approach is appreciated, or is it something kind of new? And then who within Syria, or maybe some of your case studies, are the local counterparts that you interact with?
I Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, like just, I would need you like complimentary, please, Rasha. So I think the very first comment that we got from Domitil, who was our experts in the WaPOR hackathon, was Syria would be a hard location to start with. So we did have Russia, who had like very close contacts from the government, and our another member, Kamar, she was also working in FAO in Syria, and we could have really a good interest over there. But again, due to the whole pandemic situation, of course, we couldn't really realize it that way. But I think, Russia, if you could step in case of like how we shifted then from there and to Jordan or the other Middle Eastern countries, thinking about those.
Yeah, I think first we started contemplating about Syria because two members of our team are coming from Syria, Kamar and I, and both of us know the challenges that the water sector and the agricultural sector are suffering after 10 years of war. So we started. We talked about what we have in Syria, and the other team members were excited to do some to do some work to and develop the situation there. And so we developed the idea to have the Orontes Basin as a case study, which is a transboundary basin between Lebanon, Syria, and Turkey. And then we moved the case study to Al Ghouta, which is but we can we consider it as a breadbasket for the southern part of Syria, which is also destroyed during the war. So we tried to make a positive impact. Unfortunately, we faced a lot of challenges when we presented Syria as a case study. So we needed to shift our attention from there. Who can be the counterparts there due to the fact that both the Syrian members of the team have good connections in Syria, and we are linked to the agricultural ministry and the water resources ministry, environmental ministry. So we were able to connect to stakeholders there easily. However, we didn't manage to develop our idea and move it forward there, which we aim for in the future. So we were not able to establish formal connections. However, the informal connections were already made.
Very nice. Yeah, it shows the complications, but also the potential partnerships that can happen when you're working on the very local scale. And it's always nice to have somebody from that country to foster those. I think we're about out of time. So there is a quick question for Natalia about what's the best way for users to test out your app and how to get you feedback.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, what's the best way that users can get your WAP plugin and test it out and give you feedback?
Yeah, like once, I guess, because now we have it in our GitHub, so maybe for users it will be hard to install it. But once we have it in the QIS plug list, they can just start using it. We also will have some tutorials in our YouTube, maybe in our YouTube channel. So maybe following that and using it, and then we also in our social media will be putting our surveys or something like that for having all these feedbacks, because it's really important. Yeah, we need.
Nice. So it seems like social media right now is the best way to stay up to date on the latest developments. If you are a little more tech savvy and you are familiar with GitHub, you can go there and use the app from there. But maybe for the rest of us, we'll we'll wait until it's on the plugin list. So with that, I would actually like to thank all of our presenters. I apologize that Samaya had some connection issues, but we'll do our best to get maybe a separate video with her and share that with the group so people can see their progress as well. A big congratulations from the Water Pip Project to all of you. It's nice to see all the work that you've done. And, we're happy to keep supporting you. And you as a viewer, if somebody's out there that you have great ideas for them, please feel free to share that with us. You can email us at the Water Pip Project. You can follow some of these people on social media. You can put comments in the YouTube chat. There are different ways that we can get feedback to our groups. So with that, I would like to say thank you from myself, and maybe Safi, you would like to say something to end?
Yeah, thank you so much for all the participants, presenters, and who also participated. Next week, we are having another webinar, which is particularly for the application of WaPOR in agriculture field level. That will be really interesting as well, to see how WaPOR is capable to identify water productivity gaps and to fill the gaps, and what is the potential of the remote sensing data to diagnose issues and problems in agriculture production. I would really recommend to join us next week. And the video of this webinar and material will be available on the WaterPip website and also YouTube channel. You can access the video. Thank you so much, and till next week.
Thank you, everyone. See you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.